You guys, we started the sketchbook back in December of 2022. Yeah, that's right, 2022. So let's just go ahead and get started because this is a chunky one. Now, this first one, I just really wanted to draw eyes and see how well I could draw them. I really like the detail that I was able to get in some of them. I can see the veins, the shading is really good, and I can tell that there's a little bit of form throughout all of these eyes, even though they're different shapes and different sizes. I do wish I would have worked on adding a little bit more, not dimension, but more angles, just because a lot of them are forward facing. Okay, this next one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one here in the center, but also this one right here, mainly because the side profile here has a lot of the neck. And I really like how it was bumpy and it's not super smooth. With the female's neck, it's smooth. I just like all of the different contours to his face. And the center here, I really like how I did the eyes, and then his face looks stern. And then for the one on the left here, I like how the hair turned out. I've never been really good with hair. It's something that I need to work on, but I like how his hair looks. It's a little bit flowy, a little bit of movement throughout, and I just like the shading through all of these portraits. I think they turned out really well. And here is where I was starting the 100 heads challenge. I've attempted it many, many times. 2025 was the year that I completely finished the 100 heads challenge. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, if I included these in that 100 heads challenge. But if you go deep enough on my Instagram, you will be able to see me draw some of these portraits. For this one here, I was following along with a YouTube tutorial from Hamrib. If you have not heard of her, just search her. Here's her handle right here. Search her. She has a lot of great content on markers, using gouache, a little bit of watercolor, her pencil sketches, and then she also sketches in pen. Here are a few more portraits from the 100 Heads Challenge. This one here had a lot of detail, and in the sketch, I don't think I quite captured how much detail it had. These are statues, so they have the stand here at the bottom. More heads. Again, if you look on my Instagram, I'll put the handle here so that you can see, but you'll be able to see some of the sketches that I did. These were a few years ago. This portrait here is one of my favorites. Also this one. These two, well, these three are actually all statues, but this number 10 here is my favorite one that I did. I love the detail and the shading in her face quite a bit. I think it looks really, really close to the reference photo. For this colored pencil sketch, I'm pretty sure I was either following a tutorial. There's Honk. That's who I was following along with. She was teaching a class, a colored pencil class over on Skillshare. And so after I watched her class, I did this colored pencil sketch, and then here are all of the colors that I used. I really like how this one turned out. Even though it's an older sketch, I like the highlights that were left behind that are white. I can tell that there's a little bit of a shadow here. I do wish I had a darker reference, not darker, but necessarily, but one that has more shadows just to add a little bit more dimension to her face. And then here and here, these two are just some people who follow me over on TikTok that I drew. And here's another one from TikTok. And then I believe this one was probably a reference from, not Instagram, but from Pinterest. We are continuing with the 100 Heads challenge here. I wanted to use colored pencil, mainly because I don't normally use colored pencil, but also just to add a little bit of color to my sketchbook. I thought that would be nice. Coloring with colored pencil can be kind of nerve-wracking because depending on what type of colored pencil you have, you can't erase. I don't like any of these portraits that I did, mostly because the proportions are way off. None of them look exactly like the reference photos that I was using. Um, this was probably just an off day for me. Same with these ones here. The colored pencil is just a little bit harder. I think I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to make it look perfect when I should have just been, sketching in the moment. Here's some more of the 100 heads. And then I drew Iron Man. I like how these ones turned out. I do wish that Robert Downey Jr.'s proportions were a little bit better in this one here, just because I can tell his face is a little bit too long. If I would have just scrunched it just a little bit, I think that it would have turned out a little bit better. But I like how his Iron Man suit, the head, I like how that turned out. You can tell that this top bit is the mask, and just the little features throughout his mask. I think it looks pretty spot on. And now I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with the colored pencils. I don't like 30 here, so ignore that one. But the other three on this page I do enjoy. 29 was a little bit more stylistic. And I like the eyebrows of 27 and 28, just trying to do something a little bit different. Here I was just practicing some features. Most of my references are typically from Unsplash or from Pinterest. A few more for the 100 heads. I really like this one. I think the more that I shade a portrait, the better it tends to look, just because it has better form. And even like this one here, I didn't add a lot of shading, but it does add a little bit of dimension here in 32. This one down here, I do like it, but she doesn't look exactly like the reference. And then because this reference for 33 has braids, most of the reference was of her hair. I did cut some of it out. I think I would have added a little bit more detail into her hair. The face would have come together a little bit more. A few more portraits. I really enjoy drawing portraits. The more that I draw them, the more I feel like I'm finding my style a little bit, but also there's certain things that I do when I create portraits, especially back then, that I didn't like as much. Like his lips are probably too big, or his face doesn't have either enough shading on his left side so that you can tell that his face is at a tilt. So there's certain things that aren't the best, right? But that's kind of why we practice so that we can get better. Okay, and then this one is from, I believe it's called Line Draw. I'll make sure that I add it on the screen here so that you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the website has a bunch of references that you can use. Like you can take kind of like a class. This one was for body poses, just to get better at doing my lines and actions and trying to get the figure in the right position but quickly. So these were 30 seconds. Here's another 30-second one. And it's nice because the website has a bunch of different ethnicities, and then also a lot of different poses, so it's not always the same thing. These ones were minute sketches. I really want to improve on my figure drawing, so I don't practice it as much as I would like to. We have more heads here. There will be a lot of portraits in this sketchbook. Okay, I do like most of these. I like how her hair turned out for 55, even though there's not a lot of form. You can tell by the shape of her hair how coarse her hair is, and just the way that I shaded it as well. I do like how 52 turned out. I want to say this one, I can't remember if it was like an actual person or if it was a statue of a person, but I do like how this one turned out. I can tell the different shapes that I was able to create. I like his eyebrows. And for 54, I like the angle, even though it's an upward tilt. If it's at a tilt, typically I'm not very good at it, but I was able to achieve the angle. And I do like all of these portraits on this page. They do look a lot like the original reference. I wish that this one he had a little bit of a wider jaw, and you can tell that it's not super equal on both sides, so that's something that I would change. I do like the shading that I was able to get on 61 as well. And here, I don't quite remember what this was about. I do have the Art Fundamentals book, so maybe I was just sketching there. Okay, and here is when I was starting to get back into drawing after such a long break. I'm just practicing the Loomis method here. This one, my oldest would draw something and then I would draw it back. And that was a lot of fun just because I was able to draw things that I don't normally draw. Okay, here's some more portraits. Here, these both, I believe, are statues. This one's neat because I'm pretty sure it's a cup, so I like how that one turned out. I like the folds and his headscarf as well, and his mustache. Here's another one of those ones where I would draw something and then my daughter would draw something. Here I am practicing drawing my spheres and drawing them in different angles, making the circles small and big, all that jazz, just to practice more. And here are some more Loomis head sketches. I will try to link the video of this one. And then the Riley method as well. Just trying to get back into drawing again. I'll link the video for this one. This one is also a video on here. The portrait on the left, I was using the Loomis method, and the portrait on the right, I was using the Riley method. Now, I like both methods for different reasons. I like to mix both Loomis and Riley together to create my own type of style. I like the Riley method because it creates better accuracy, but I like the Loomis method because it allows you to have a little bit of stylization. Okay, this page is all about eyes. I did a video about this as well. I like the form that I was able to get. Some of them, like this one here, was a little bit harder to do, but that's only because of the lighting on it, which is totally fine, but it's just something that I needed to work on. I like the different angles that I was able to achieve with drawing these eyes. I do wish I would have exaggerated some of the tilt a little bit more just to actually get the thought across so that the eyes look more realistic. But overall I do like most of them because the shading is really good, and then the detail in the eyes is also pretty sweet. Here are some noses. I like all of them. I really enjoy drawing noses and creating shapes with noses, having them in different angles. All of that jazz is a lot of fun. And ears. Ears are a lot of fun to draw. Most ears do look very, very similar. Sometimes they're bigger or smaller, right, depending on the person, or if there are a lot of piercings in the ear. But overall, they have that heart shape to them. So I think ears are a lot of fun to draw. You can get a lot of detail in them, and you can put very little detail, but you'll always know that it's an ear. And here I am starting over on the 100 heads challenge again. And like I said before, I've attempted it quite a few times this year. I apologize. Last year, 2025, was the year that I actually completed it. So overall, I've drawn a lot of portraits, but I've never done the 100 heads in 10 days. It usually takes me longer to do so. So for this one, I do have shorts on it. I do have videos on me doing the 100 head challenge. So I won't go into too much detail about my 100 head challenge just because I have a video out on it, and I will make sure that I link it so that you can watch it. Here I was sketching out a follower on TikTok. I was trying to practice making flowers. I believe it was for a sticker, maybe. And then I got a recommendation on TikTok to draw a cityscape, which I hadn't done before. And I mixed some media a little bit. Like I have some micron pens for the black for the building, and then for up above I have colored pencils. For this page here, I was working on a painting idea. I never actually painted it, but eventually I will. This was the right side here is the sizing that I was trying to achieve, and then I wanted the pumpkins to go here, and then I wanted this plant to be here. Here's another follower from TikTok, and then I will show the finished version of this, but for, I believe it was like fall time, I was trying to do a challenge. Yes, look, it says November 5th. Look at me dating my stuff. It was November 5th, but I wanted to do a pose of a female reading a book. And again, I will pop that picture up right here so that you can see. But that is the end of the sketchbook tour. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And watch some future videos. I'll add them, up here, over here, over here. I'm just kidding, but I will. I'll add some videos for you to watch. Thanks, guys, so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.